And welcome to another segment of Delta Sip, where we sip slow and talk what we know. We do have some people on our panel on tonight. We are going to be talking about the National Press Conference coming up in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, scheduled for tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is supposed to be the day where the city board is scheduling to have their actual board meeting. And the people are really concerned and talked to the Mike magazine personally. And we did interview two people who are considered displaced storm victims, and they have taken it upon themselves to actually start a demonstration. And they did a demonstration on last week, if I'm not mistaken. And so the people are concerned and saying that they are not being heard. Okay, these are some strong allegations. And with this press conference, they are wanting to talk about the leadership of the city and the school district, right? We had a couple of people who were on again, and one of them actually talked about how she had been called stupid in her own words. Okay. And tonight we have a panel, and our panel consists of Mr. Cardell Wright, Miss Francine Jefferson, and Mr. Reginald Jojo Virgil, right? And so what they're going to do is bring some expertise to the questioning and concerns of the people, right? And so if you're out there, please share this so that people can know that we are having a much needed discussion about what is allegedly happening. Go to commercial and we'll be right back. Sunflower Bolivar Humphreys in Washington counties. This message is for you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Cassie Sade Turnipseed, and I'm running for Mississippi State Representative in District 31, and I need your vote. I need to bring, with your support, youth programs to the Delta, as well as historic preservation projects that will honor the legacy of our ancestors. But I need your vote. Please vote for Sade Turnipseed, August the 8th.
Right outside of this one church town, there's a gold dirt road to a whole lot of nothing. Got a deed to the land, but it ain't my ground. This is God's country. We pray for rain and thank Him when it's falling, 'cause it brings a grain and a little bit of money. We put it back in a plate. I guess that's why they call it God's country.
All of those concerned, a national press conference will be held Tuesday, August 1st at 2 p.m. in Rolling Fork, Mississippi.
I don't just repair things, I make them sing. But this whole operation is bigger than me. The UPS store has the hands I need to protect people's treasures. I fix, they ship, and the beat keeps going on.
Visit your local UPS store at 1831 Martin Luther King Boulevard, Suite 125 in Greenville, close to Walmart. All right, and we are about to bring on our panel guests. I want to start with Cardell. Mr. Cardell Wright, can you tell those who don't know you a little bit about who you are now? I understand that you have worked hand in hand with a local municipality in particular, and you understand the ins and outs in the day-to-day operations and how a municipality is supposed to govern itself and supposed to operate, especially during times of disaster. Let me bring you up and tell us a little bit about you. You can unmute.
Yes, well, my name is Cardell Wright, and I'm the president of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party in Holmes County, Mississippi. With the organization, we deal with a lot of different things as it relates to citizens' rights being infringed upon. We advocate against any injustices, police brutality, elected official corruption, voter suppression, and all of that. But even before that, I worked as a city manager for about 4 years in Durant. So my task as city manager was to work right up under the mayor. So I would be responsible for day-to-day duties. I was over the properties. I was over, anything that was dilapidated, dealt with citations and codes and writing policies and code enforcement and public policy. So I've had experience in that. For I worked in that field for approximately 4 years, but I did attend the University of Mississippi, better known as Ole Miss, and received my degree in political science.
Talk a little bit about Fannie Lou Hamer and how she's worked into what you do.
Well, yes, well, the Freedom Democratic Party was founded in 1964, and our predecessors were Bob Moses, Fannie Lou Hamer on that national level, and they kind of spearheaded it because the original intent of the FDP was to be established as a legitimate political party that would challenge the traditional Democratic seat, the traditional Democratic Party, excuse me. And after two unsuccessful attempts, well, the convention ended up saying that we were no longer seat segregated, party. So it was kind of a win. But after that, the FDP began to go into the communities and advocate against injustice and deal with all these other issues. But Fannie Lou Hamer was the one that spearheaded it. So when everybody talks about the FDP, they equate that with Fannie Lou because she was our visionary along with Bob Moses.
Okay, and now thank you so much, Cardell. We're going to go to Miss Francine. And can you tell us a little bit about your expertise and what it is that you do as it relates to being a servant to the people?
So thank you so much, Angela. Yeah, I am Francine Jefferson. I wear multiple hats as well as most of you on this call. One of them is a longtime community organizer.
Wow.
Not just with Freedom Democratic Party, which I love, but also with the state NAACP. Also, I'm one of the tri-chair members for the Mississippi Poor People's Campaign. And we talk a lot about putting our hands on it and just raising awareness at this place now. I know I'm going a little bit past me, but where we are right now, we should all be sick and tired. The Fannie Lou Hamer should not just be a famous motto. It should be something to motivate us to take it on to the next level. We were talking about Nina Simone's song where she was talking about Mississippi. God damn, it's like, how long do we have to continue to go through this? And as a part of the PPC, we talk about fighting poverty and not fighting the poor, because it seems like something they want to do right now. The conversation you were talking about with the mayor or whoever was having the conversation saying that people should have insurance. Well, if they could afford it, I'm pretty sure they would have gotten it. And so that's just not something that's so easy for everyone to do when you're trying to make a decision, especially in the Delta, about putting food on the table or buying insurance. That's a no-brainer there. So I work as much as I can to try and build strong policies, holding those elected officials accountable, even teaching people, educating our community about how to investigate the situation, who to hold accountable, and how to do that. We get people out to vote, but we don't teach them about how to hold folk accountable once they're in office and letting them know that they work for us. And so that's what I do, Angela.
Okay. And our next person, and thank you so much for that brief introduction. And now we're going to go to JoJo. As Cardell refers to him. And so we're going to ask him to explain and unmute and tell us a little bit about what it is that he does and the area of expertise that he brings and the experience alone that he brings.
Hello. So I go by JoJo. I work with NASW, which is National Association of Social Workers, as a public policy and education coordinator. And I'm also a member of NABSW, which is National Association of Black Social Workers. I recently just graduated from the University of Southern Miss with a master's in social work and also a concentration in economic development as well. So when we talk about, what we're dealing with and the residents of Rolling Fork, from a social work lens and perspective, the best thing that we're looking to do at this point in time is to assess, right? We want to go through, do an assessment to see what is, needed to help ensure the families that they can get the support that they need. But also, not only is it just it starts and stop at the assessment, but there's ongoing ways to build relationships within the community, so that way we can determine if those assessments are correct, right? So this happened March 24th of this year, and now we're almost in August, and we still have this issue
Okay.
as people
Okay.
are needing
Okay.
assistance in whichever way they can get. So bringing in the fold of looking at how we best work with their person in the environment as a social work model and frame of work, and also looking at the economic development side of it as to why aren't
Mm-hmm.
there, where is the housing, for the residents, whether it's temporary or permanent. So where's the ball being dropped? How can we pick it up and move forward from there?
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Everybody out there, please share this because this is going to be a very informative um, show on tonight. Give me just a second here. Want to talk to you guys a little bit about the concerns of the people. They were on the show just recently, and uh, we have one displaced storm victim, okay, who told the Mike magazine that she spoke with Good Morning America. She and the other, I had two, and they spoke with Good Morning America. And I watched the link. I shared the link with Cardale, and I hoped Cardale shared that link with some more people. And um, they came to do an update about 6 days ago, right? And so it just crossed my desk that Good Morning America did another update, right? We're not going to play it on the show, but we did get an opportunity to look at it, right? And from what I gather, guys, that video is merely talking about food distribution. And when the women came on the show the other night, that was not their concern. They were not concerned about how they were going to eat. They made that clear. They made that very clear that food distribution was not their concern after 4 months. I want to play a video for you guys that I played on the show that was released to the Mike magazine by Miss Noelle Hayes Whiteside, who Miss Noelle Whiteside does most of the video documentation for the Rolling Fork area, and she is a white woman. Not that that makes a difference, but we're just letting you know that whites and blacks are pulling together because this is a matter of humanity, not just about
That's right.
black people or white people. This is about humanity. I'm gonna play a video, and you guys can go one by one and tell me what you think. And I know Francine touched on it a minute ago, and she said something. And Francine, I want you to start it off when we come back, because you said something that was so imperative. You said, we're fighting poverty and not poor people. Okay, and on that note, I want to play this video for you guys. That was so profound when you said that, because we have to put this thing into perspective and let people know we're not fighting our people. We're not fighting our people. We're fighting poverty. This is 2023.
Right.
And this should be something in the history books by now, right? This should be something where we say we did overcome poverty. But let me play this video for you.
If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you want to step in the lion's den, then let me roar. If you want to step in the lion's den, let me roar. You want to step in the lion's den? No, you stupid. So let me tell you, if you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you want to step in the lion's den, then let me roar. If you want to step in the lion's den, let me roar. You want to step in the lion's den? No, you stupid. So let me tell you, if you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you want to step in the lion's den, then let me roar. If you want to step in the lion's den, let me roar. You want to step in the lion's den? No, you stupid.
Okay, and so we're gonna start with Francine first, and then I want to go with JoJo and Cardale. Cardale, and then we're going to go to Cardale. Cardale, I want you to take it from the perspective of what would Fannie Lou Hamer say? Because She did the food distribution. And she was smart enough to know we needed more than just food. Okay. Francine, let's shoot away at this. We're not fighting poor people. We're fighting poverty. I
We're
like
fighting
that.
poverty. That's right. Poverty is inhumane. Poverty is inhumane. And so it's a human right to have shelter over our head. It is a human right to have affordable housing and health care. I mean, it's blowing my mind right now when I saw that clip. And even when we go back over there, when we had the situation with COVID, and we've had floods here in Holmes County, but when we had the situation with COVID and kids couldn't go to school or people couldn't get their medication and these kinds of things, we went months, years without these children. We got kids right now who are repeating the third grade for the third time. Do you hear me, y'all? Because of the fact that they couldn't go to school. And we're dealing with, we talk about post-traumatic stress, but let me tell you, this is some unjust stress. It don't have to be this way. It doesn't take 4 months to build a house from the ground up. Do you hear me? And so there's no reason for people to be still out there homeless and trying to make it. Now we got these hashtags, these phrases like Rolling Fork Strong, and people come down and do their photo ops and this kind of nonsense and foolishness. And everybody raises the money for themselves, but they're not helping the people who are still hurting. And once they leave, it's bye, y'all. And let me tell y'all this. Love you, my brothers and my sister. But let me tell you something. We're going to have to hold the church folk accountable. I don't see those pastors out there doing what they could do. We raise so much money for the Poor Saints offering and that kind of stuff. Why the heck don't we have a place for our people to live? Why don't we do that? There are empty houses and abandoned buildings and these things, but we pay taxes too. So there's MEMA, there's FEMA, there's Red Cross. There are all these different entities, and they're not coming together like their mission statements and their whatever it is that they're doing, their plans say that they're going to do. And it's enough of this, enough. But they fight people like us. They're saying you ought to do this and you ought to do that. If I could, don't you think I would?
Come on.
If I could don't you think I would? I'm doing the best that I can. We got folks still working at the chicken factory and the fish. They're not making that kind of money, y'all, where they can just pick up and start all over again. You saw how most of those houses were. A lot of those houses were mobile homes, or whatever you want to call them, manufactured. They're doing the best that they can. You can't look. Who controls the credit industry? Who controls what your credit score is? Who controls how you can get a loan and you can't? Black folks don't own those banks. Black folks don't own those businesses. Poor people's voices. There are more of us, and we got to stop being divided around color because poverty unites us. And there are more poor people in the Delta than there are those who are the affluent people. And that's what we got to bring this back to. The education is horrible. The infrastructure is horrible. Let's just be real about this. The healthcare is horrible. All of this is around. I think they're trying to kill poor people, if you want to know the truth, because they're not doing anything to help us. So this is a human right.
Francine, girl, you talking about what you talking about. Listen, man, Cardell, you put this panel together just right, man. I gotta give him credit. Listen, Francine, you said a lot, and I just love what you're saying. How you're shooting off, and you made mention of the photo opportunities.
Come on now,
it breaks my heart. You know why? Because I'm grassroots media and I'm here. I hear and I give the unadulterated testimony of the people who are in Rolling Fork who said, we're hurting. We don't want no food. We got EBT. She said that on the show. I got EBT. Good morning, America. And see, you got to remember, that's corporate media that's putting that story out. Mike Magazine is grassroots, and we're hearing the hurts. We're listening to the hearts of the people. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is not a photo opportunity for me. This is real. These are real people with real problems. This should be something of the past. Listen, you also mentioned about the pastors. You said the pastors. We've been taking up love offerings and benevolent offerings forever. Why is it that, and come on, these churches are sitting on lots that trailers can borrow for a while? Listen, you got country churches. You better leave me alone. Don't let me keep talking. I'm going to let JoJo go ahead because, see, listen, come on. You said something about those churches. You mean to tell me y'all can't band together and say, I can put 20 trailers on our country lot. We can get 20 over there. We can get 10 over here. Don't go to, they can pull together if they want
That's
to.
right. If they want to.
This is the Bible. Don't tell me
on fire.
they can't get, don't tell me they can't get a lot. This shouldn't even be up for discussion. JoJo, go on before I break down, because I cry. I'm a crybaby, but it breaks my heart. Go ahead, JoJo.
Right. You know, and I want to touch point on something you said as well, dealing with the media. I worked in for a news station for a couple years, and I'll definitely say that's an apparent thing when it comes to Mississippi.
Yeah.
There's always a twisted narrative given when we look at folks who have been victimized or who have come to experience a burden of such a what we're talking about now, and the message that should be sent is not sent. And so now you get this thing to where outside the state people are looking like, oh, okay, it's always food, water, or housing. Like what is going on there? Granted, it was a natural disaster that came through. It was a crisis emergency, which deserves a lot of attention for management. So when we're talking about what the media puts out there, then us, how do we look at it? How do we perceive what's out there for those who aren't dealing with it or going through it? You know, so I live in Gulfport. So to give perspective to the situation, how important fighting for our people are and advocating on behalf of our people, in poverty, low income, black, white, doesn't matter. Like Fran said earlier, you know, the people are people at the end of the day, and we all need that assistance and help no matter what. But coming from Gulfport to Jackson is roughly 2 hours and 58 minutes where I live, right? And so having to stay a week, and even though I work up here and I come all the time, right? And still making that drive to go extra to do this, because I know as a social worker, when we get into that into that field, into that area, you know, the situation may slightly change a little bit. You see, so people are high emotion. The emotional tensions are risen. You know, people are at their wits' end with trying to get, you know, not just a basic needs, but their voice being heard, right? And someone doing something about it. And that's what happens a lot, is that, you know, people listen. No, people hear, but they don't actively listen. You see, and to say, okay, you know what? I heard you say that. And you know what? We can do something about that. But then not just stopping, but continue to go. So what we're looking at is consistency. Where's the consistency with all of this? And I'll say this real quick. I didn't watch the video. I don't know what's going on my end. I'm not the tech savvy guy. I didn't see it. But what I can definitely say is based off this situation and scenario, as social workers, and I would definitely say it's really about advocating. We really need to get in. What needs to be done is to help with other agencies and organizations, with the collaboration and the partnership, because everyone can't do it by themselves.
That's right.
We all need help. And some people are afraid to admit that sometime, and to let up off that horse and say, you know what, once you take the saddle for a minute, I just need a break, or just help me along the way, 50-50. In social work, we say, meet me halfway. And we have the resources, we have the people power, we have we have what we need, but a lot of times it takes us coming together to admit, like, let go of your ego, let go of your pride. Okay, I understand you do good, like Freedom Democratic Party, NASW, like, hey, I know what I'm not good at. I know what I need help with. Other people may know that, but they're not willing to say, you know what, I got it, I can do it. And you're going to sit there and run 2 more miles while you're dehydrated, and I have water.
Come on,
for everyone. So that's the point in which, as social work, when we're looking at it, is to make sure that pristine relationship between the community organizers, the agencies, and for-profit, non-profit, utility companies, everyone has to get on the same page. We're reading the same book, but we're not in the same page, much less the same chapter.
All right.
And you make a
well said, young man.
Yeah, very well said. And coming out, I mean, just off the bat, you said, hey, I work with media. So this is normal. That narrative, that perspective is going to be more of a corporate narrative, okay,
Yes.
as it relates to what's going on. But see, when Francine began to talk, she first said something about Mississippi, goddamn, right? How long will
How long?
Mississippi wave the bloodstained banner and sit there and pretend like the people here in Mississippi are all right? We're pretending. We're not great pretenders, because I'm telling you now, with the video that I just played, and I'm going to play it one more time, because like he said, people are at their wits' end. They're wanting to be heard. And when you heard Ms. Barnes in this video that was released to the Mic magazine, it sounds like what he was just describing as a social worker. Listen, a social worker is a social scientist. They study people. Okay,
Facts.
that's
Thank
what
you.
I do. I listen. I have a degree in criminal justice. We study the behavior. And don't you know, if these people continue to feel like they are in despair and the voice is stifled, that's why Mic magazine is here. That's why Mic magazine is here, so they can have a voice. So we don't have to worry about if national media shows up or not. Because guess what? The story will be told. It will be told. And national media will tell the story. Whether we have to bring them kicking and screaming, they will tell the story. Now, I'm going to play this one more time, because like he said, they're at wit's end. Listen at this.
If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you want to step in the lion's den, then let me roar. If you want to step in the lion's den, let me roar. You want to step in the lion's den? No, you stupid. So let me tell you, if you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you want to step in the lion's den, then let me roar. If you want to step in the lion's den, let me roar. You want to step in the lion's den? No, you stupid. So let me tell you, if you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you want to step in the lion's den, then let me roar. If you want to step in the lion's den, let me roar. You want to step in the lion's den? No, you stupid.
Do we need insurance? Do we need insurance? Yes, we do.
Can I say something real quick? I'm sorry.
Go on, brother.
For the lady who said that is very it's not empathetic at all. Everyone is going through something different, and for her to say that is being dismissive from the start of what she's going through. And anybody else, like, for example, if that was her family, she would not say that to her family member, and I guarantee you that. I'm willing to bet you that.
Oh, wow. Regardless of what she said, was it even... Now, do we need insurance? Cardell, you next. We already had this conversation, Cardell. Do we need insurance? Yes. Was that appropriate to say at that time? We're talking about somebody in despair. And not only that, Ms. Barnes did tell us that the person that she's alleging called her stupid, because we're going to call them allegations, okay, is running for justice court judge, right? And so the people are calling out to the Mic magazine saying, we need this election to be secure. We need people to be there to watch for this election. Because if they're not being transparent about having a meeting and canceling 4 meetings, what else are they not being honest about? So they're calling for somebody from the state, from anywhere, to monitor this election because of the behavior that we just witnessed right there, that was given to the Mic magazine, courtesy of Noel Hayes White Side. Cardi, talk about Fannie Lou Hamer. What was she saying? Because we got a lot of people saying Fannie Lou Hamer this, but no. She knew you needed food distribution. She knew it. But she also knew you needed housing. We're not talking about clothes. They said something about we got clothes that until we can give them away. They're not. Listen, why would I be concerned about wearing some clothes that I can wash twice a week if I need to? Okay, because my mind ain't on a wardrobe right now. My mind is on being stable because school is getting ready to start. I need to know where my children are going to go to school, right? I had a pregnant mother tell me that, they're trying to send the people to Vicksburg and this and that. She's getting ready to have this little baby, and her toddler is getting ready to go to school. Listen, we got JoJo on the line, and he knows all too well about postpartum depression. And Cardell, you've worked hand in hand with Red Cross. Come on, you got a main line to the Red Cross and everybody else who's necessary to talk about. But right quick, talk about Fannie Lou Hamer, what she would think, and then give your spiel on this video, man.
Well, let me tell you something. The legendary Fannie Lou Hamer would not be silent about this. I would tell
Come
you
on.
this much. She would not, and I believe, because she was such a professional lady, I
Mm-hmm.
believe she would say that y'all should be ashamed of yourselves because that's not right.
Hmm.
Because what we see, and so now I'm gonna go to this. Even Dr. King, the last leg of his whole life was
Come on.
dedicated to poverty. That's where the Poor People's Campaign come from, housing and all of this. So when we talk about, as Fran was saying, we fighting poverty and not poor people. We have to
Come,
understand nobody chooses to live in a state of dilapidation.
come on.
If they live in a state of dilapidation, it is because they don't have the economic resources to do what needs to be done. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, if you go to the middle class suburbs and all these places, they have insurance. But a lot of times when you live below the poverty line,
Come
you
on.
don't have money
65%.
to sit here and get
65%.
insurance and do all this extra stuff. Yeah, 60,
Yeah.
is it 60, you said 65%?
65.
65%. So when
Yes.
you talk about 65% of your community, your county, your municipality is below the poverty line, you can't expect. So only thing they would be concerned about, okay, we got a roof over our head and my children got somewhere to sleep. You don't have $200-300 or $500 for insurance. And
Come on.
so it is so insincere. If that lady, from my understanding, if that is the mayor's wife or whoever it is, that was very insincere.
Mm-hmm.
That was very unempathetic, and she's wrong for that, and she should not win the justice court judge. But the problem is our leadership is pitch poor, and we need in this time clear, precise, profound, passionate, educated leaders.
Come on.
Because
Compassionate.
and
Compassionate.
and compassionate, because it's not just about all of these degrees, but even our leaders are not even educated in the subject matter.
Come
You
on.
were never even
Come on.
able to control the finances of your own home, and
Come
yet
on.
you got thousands of millions of dollars coming through your hands. What are you doing with it?
Come
Why is
on.
Rolling Fork in that situation? Why don't you
4
have an
months later.
emergency evacuation plan? Why are your people still in those situations? You should be working overtime to get your people back on their feet, regardless.
4 months later.
4 months
4
later,
months.
and people are still living in these hotels and motels.
Let me ask you something, Cordell, because you worked closely with mayor, municipalities, counties. Now, I had a talk with some people from Rolling Fork, and I'm saying, tiny homes are trending now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how people are using the storage units and they're building them up and making them homes. I don't know if you guys have seen the tiny home. They're all on
Yes.
YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to talk a little bit about zoning, and because Cardell, we had a citizen, a displaced storm victim, who says that she has raw sewage. Now, these are her allegations. This is what she's alleging. Raw sewage outside of her home. And not only outside, but she said you can smell it inside. Now, she's saying that this is a health hazard. She said that one church did help her to get back there, but she's dependent on the city leaders to do what's necessary to make sure that that sewage is removed. Now, I asked her, where did she live? And she told me she lived in the county, but she pays her bill to the city, right? And so I asked her this. I said, well, how far are you from like the city? She said, not even a block. So this is like going tit for tat, okay? Go now. She said that she was told talk to your supervisor. Then the supervisor said, "Oh no, that's city. That's where you pay your bill to, right?" And so, talk a little bit about what can be done on the wait. Talk about eminent domain first.
Well, see, where we have to start at with this is we have to understand that Rolling Fork and that entire county is under an emergency.
Okay.
Theoretically, they're under an emergency. So when we talk about eminent domain comes in where whenever, such as annexation, if a municipality decides to annex, like in the city of Durant, we had someone come in and they talk about annexing and making Durant 3 times as big as it is now. So when you do annexation, and that is a declaration that has been stated and passed by the mayor and the board, then whatever land that is in the way of them expanding, they automatically, technically, they can inherit it. Now, it doesn't come free. They do
Okay.
have to pay. But when eminent domain says that the bigger picture is this city,
Okay.
and therefore we need this land for this purposes, and they
Uh-huh.
have legal authority to do so, but they just can't do it and take it from them. They have to pay it. But under this situation, similar to eminent domain,
Come
is
on.
if the mayor and the board, or the county, or the county and the municipality, or the mayor or and the president of the board,
Mhm.
in the conjunction with the boards approving what they say, can declare an emergency. And during, like, the governor declares a state of emergency for the state of Mississippi. But what they don't know is that the mayor and the board and the county board of supervisors can also make declarations of emergency for their areas. And most times that's supposed to be done together. But while we're talking about this, I want to read this to you so I want
Mhm.
you to know that this is legitimate. And this
Mhm.
comes from the state emergency declaration
Come
plan.
on.
And it says emergency declaration. Local emergencies may be declared by the governing bodies of county and municipal governments individually or jointly. That's why I told you earlier, they can come into an interlocal agreement and deal with this together instead of separately. It
Mm-hmm.
says individually or jointly, or the president of the board of supervisors or mayor of a municipality under authority of section 331517 and 331531. If declared by the president or mayor, the appropriate board must review it. So, long story short, the law tells us that you can make these declarations of
Mm-hmm.
emergency, and most times you declare emergency situations during natural disasters, like what happened 4 months ago. And
Mm-hmm.
so, because of the failure of the leadership, now you don't have the land. But it's not that you don't have the land; it's the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you don't even know how to get it done
Oh wow.
because you're waiting.
Mhm.
Because, see, if you understood the authority, if you were educated, and if you were educated in that which you are, the position you are in, you will understand that I have the authority to make this declaration. And therefore, if there's any citizen in my land, in my area, my jurisdiction, that have land that's conducive enough to mount up manufactured homes, or smaller homes, or whatever kind of those petite homes for these citizens, then we can do it. And that the difference is that's not permanent. That is temporary. But what we're seeing a lot in throughout the Delta, in central Mississippi, with some of these smaller populated counties, is we have people in authority that don't know their job description, which is
Wow.
which comes to the point of, I've had meetings with state representatives about creating a policy that sets a criteria and qualification for
Mm-hmm.
people to run for office, because we're having dumb, ignorant people,
Mm-hmm.
running municipalities and counties. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem is they said that they have not been able to do it because they feel like if we implement criteria and qualifications in certain areas, they won't have any qualified people to run. But I beg to differ, because I feel like every area has its own people that's educated enough to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the problem. The issue is leadership. They can, by law, make this declaration and use these people's land, and they can't do anything about it. But if you don't know, we perish.
Mm. Let me ask you something. Is it okay? Because there are some allegations that there have been 4 canceled meetings, guys. is it okay to cancel a city meeting at the last minute? And if so, how do you go about canceling a meeting?
Well, protocol is this. In order to have a meeting, you have to have a quorum. So, say for instance, I take Durant for example. One mayor, five alder persons, which means that if the mayor is present, you have to have at least
Three.
three
Three.
alder persons to have a meeting, which means you got to have a quorum. So so you can start the meeting. Say for instance, the meeting is at 6 o'clock. You can start the meeting, but if you don't have the right amount of board members there, the meeting is canceled. You can't do anything about it. They just chose not to show up. But if you decide to cancel the meeting beforehand, it has to be because these board members cannot make it. It's not just canceling it or there's a natural disaster. But when you do that, you are supposed to notify the public, which means you're normally supposed to put a letter up at the city hall, at the post office, the library, and potentially another high traffic area. And then some areas have it to where they send out emails to community leaders and it gets dispersed that way. But it's whatever best works for you, but you're not supposed to cancel open meetings for the public that is scheduled without letting the public know, because
Okay.
it's public business.
Francine,
Yes.
there are strong allegations that even when a meeting is being called, okay, now there's an editorial that went out, but there's no name to it. And they're saying that they're not even contacting the media, the local media now, to let them know. And they're using the basis of the what is it? Sunshine. What is it? How do you call it,
Oh,
Cardell?
the Sunshine Law?
The Sunshine Law, where 1 hour before, why do you think the people feel that they are not being transparent? I mean, just your opinion, Francine.
Because they're not. Because they're not being
Tell it.
transparent. It's not just they're not being transparent. I was on the board of education here in Holmes County for 8 years, and I'm telling you, all these all of these elected boards that we have, they all fall under a certain association. So there's the school board association, there's the mayor aldermen's association, there's the board of supervisors association. They teach you very well about how to keep community out of your business. So when these folks, and you mentioned something about 1 hour. 1 hour public notice, they take a picture of it, that's fine. That's perfectly legal for them to do that. Now, here becomes an issue for me where we have to do a better job of organizing in those communities and let people know you will not do this to us. You work for us, and we will not be silent anymore. So if you're not here, we're going to move on with business as usual, and we can start pushing some other issues. They need to adopt some other ordinances. People need, and folk in our community, a lot of them don't like to write. They're not the most educated folk, but we can help them as organizers. We've got to change these ordinances. Say you must do a 72-hour notice, and it has to go, this route or that route. It's they can do it any way they want to because they are the governing body. You understand what I'm saying? And so they meet the very minimum requirement by posting on their door an hour before, and that's it. So they met requirements. Is it right? No. So when they say, well, it seems like they're not being transparent, they're right. They know when we want to have revival at our church. Come on, church folks. We have it at 7 o'clock. We put the notice out. Everybody knows about it. Plenty enough time because we want participation there. But when we do budget hearings, when we do any kind of policy revisions, we do that stuff at 9 o'clock in the morning. Ain't nobody gonna be there, and that's deliberately done. And so so when folks say it feels like they're not being transparent, it's because they're not being transparent. So as organizers, we've got to do a better job of communicating and educating our people on how to impact the change that they need inside their community. Because these folks work for the community.
Well, guys,
period. They get this head about them that they don't, but they do.
I saw guys where they were saying, hey, they're probably going to cancel this meeting tomorrow. And so the people are saying we're still going to move forward with the press conference, because the press conference is 2 hours now prior to the meeting, right? And so do you foresee, either one of you, the meeting being canceled on tomorrow, or do you believe that the people are just blowing smoke and saying that they want money, They don't want no housing. They want money. They just looking for an easy way out. Are they just making this up? In your opinion?
No, no, they're
Of course
not
they want
because
houses.
no.
Of course they want houses. Of course they want money. Don't you? I don't want to be out in the street. It's hot
Come on,
out there right now. So of
come,
course they want that. Of
come on.
course they want quality living. And you've never addressed these issues for these folks. So you're again fighting the poor people instead of fighting goddamn poverty. Because that's the
Mm,
real deal here.
mm.
Stop it.
Oh
And
wow.
we have to not be silent about this. We've got
Hmm.
to help out. The Bible tells us to cry aloud and spare not. We've got to raise up these issues and stop just talking among ourselves and make some noise and stay in the game. Our people get tired too fast. I don't know what's wrong with them. 4
Uh-huh.
months, you ought to be so tired of being out there like you are right now. Instead, we should not have to fight for them. We should be fighting with them. And the problem is a lot of times our folks get burnt out and they give up and they just accept anything. And we can't allow that. They deserve so much better.
Yes, they do.
And poor, they deserve so much. We deserve so much better. I'm poor people too.
Come on, come on. And
Yes.
I was raised, guys. I was raised to root for the underdog, right?
Mhm.
Whoever the underdog might be. And so and with that being said, when they came to me with the concerns about what is happening in Rolling Fork, I made them know that, hey, I have to speak to both sides, right? It was a weekend, so I didn't worry about reaching out to anybody over the weekend. But I did get word from some of the people who they're alleging things about. And so the thing is, let's have a discussion. Let's be out there. Let like you said, people need to know that you are listening. And there's a thing I said, we need to learn to be listening practitioners. We don't
Okay.
want to,
Like that.
and not only listen, but get them in the same room with the people who can educate them properly
Yes.
on
Mhm.
what's necessary, not just point to that wall. Because if we point to a flyer on the wall and say there's a phone number, again, we're not interested in going to look at some pretty colorful flyer. We want real help. I just got some information just came in, guys. I'm about to put this up on the screen, and I this is fresh to me, and it's saying something about a resolution. Give me just a second here,
All right.
and this is from the city of Rolling Fork.
Mm.
So this got to be. All right, let's take a look at this. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, we were talking about that earlier. The Recovery Commission, Long-Term Recovery Commission. They're
Uh-huh.
supposed to have one.
So what are we looking at, you guys? Take a minute and look at that. Then I'm going to put that last page up there. The mayor shall appoint.
6 commissioners and vice mayor shall appoint 5. Okay. If they doing anything, I mean, I understand it, but are they doing anything? This not a declaration of an emergency. This is just a resolution so they can establish the commission. Have they even established the commission?
And
Let's
how
look at
many citizens are on this commission?
let's look at this back page here.
Oh, that's just the description of what the commission is supposed to do.
If they have one,
So
right?
this is
If
something
they have.
this should have been in place before now.
Yeah,
Okay, so again,
yes.
educating our folks. We need to be requesting for their emergency management plan, which I promise you that board already adopted one and the community ain't never seen it. So that emergency management plan, and in it should have already, I guarantee they've never seen it. And most of the board members
Stop
probably never
it.
even read it, because it came from the association and they just adopted. They don't even have a clue. So we need to be asking for that. Community needs to see that. Community needs to dissect that. And if it does not make sense and does not help them, then they need to destroy that and start all over again. That's one. There is Mississippi ain't broke. Don't get it twisted, y'all. For the military alone, for veterans alone, we get over 2 billion with a B dollars a year into Mississippi. Just veterans. Okay, not the military, just veterans alone. And that money, our suicide rate is up for the veterans, all this kind of stuff because they're not helping us. Folk that look like us don't get it. And so we've got poor folks, we don't get what we're supposed to get. And we need to start crying a little bit louder and don't get quiet
Yes.
because Angela got
Yes.
hers and I'm still out. No, Angela, you got to keep fighting for me. We got to
Come on,
stay in this until we
come
get where
on,
we're trying to go. We can
come
do
on.
this.
And
There's so much resources for us, so much
and
available to us. This
and
wouldn't
let's
be Madison. Listen, Madison County wouldn't have that raw sewage running up in this, y'all. Come on. So what's the difference between Madison County and Holmes County or Rolling Fork? What's the difference? Poor people,
Oh,
enough,
yes.
enough.
Let me.
and let's be clear here. We're not begging the national media to come to this.
No, no,
We're just putting them on notice, correct?
that's right. That's right.
What were you about to say,
That's
Cordell?
right.
I was about to say, and I do want everybody that's listening or that will go back and listen to this, that it is unlawful and illegal for the city to allow or the county to allow raw sewage to sit in somebody's yard. It
Why?
depends.
Why?
Because the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, as my role as city manager, it is
It's
state law and
environmental.
federal. Yeah, Mississippi
It
Department
is.
of Environmental Quality is state law that if you tear down homes, you got to test them for as best as you can. Just tear down homes and buildings, especially old buildings, because
Okay.
that stuff will get in
That's
the
the
air. People
law.
get sick. That's the law. You got to abate it. You got to
That's
get it
the law.
tested. All of that.
That's
And
right.
so, if raw sewage is sitting in someone's yard and there's nothing being done about it, the city and or the county can be fined up to
Yeah,
$100,000.
that's right.
Now, it is also determined. Now, it does have to be
Whoa.
determined. It has to be determined on whether the sewage issue is on the county or the city or on that person. Just like when there's a water leak, the way it operates in Durant is if the leak is on this side, it's a
Mm-hmm.
city problem. If it's on this side, it's the resident's problem. So
Mm-hmm.
it does need to be evaluated, investigated who is responsible. And if it's found that the county or the city, wherever she resides at, with jurisdiction, is the responsible for that, it is their job and they cannot let this sit because that's going to affect the health of that residence and any other resident that's in close proximity. That's be a health crisis and they can be fined up to $100,000.
Oh my good. That's a hefty fine. And I
And
don't
depending on
know
what
that.
it is, it could be $10,000 a day, depending on what it is. Like if it's something to do with the gas, and then I
Yeah,
mean, so there are these
that's
health
true.
hazards that are there. They could be $10,000 a day, and there is no limit. And
Yeah,
Oh,
fine, let that go on that city, let that go on that county. But
it's
we've got to help
serious.
folk, y'all, because they don't know how to file. They don't know how to file complaints. I can tell you that now. And
oh
so,
wow.
even though they go to these board meetings, Angela and Cardell, when they go to those board meetings, if they are not on the agenda, everything they said was just talking in the wind
Yep.
because they don't have to take any notes. They don't have to take any actions. It's not recorded. Do you hear me? It's not even
Only
recorded. So
emotions are
we
on
have to help
paper.
folks. That's it. And they don't make a motion on some public comment stuff. So we got to help folks to see. Don't just go up in there raising hell. We got to be organized about this hell raising
Yes,
that we're going to do.
yes, yes. We can't just be talking.
And
We
we
have to do
have
some
to put it
action.
black and white. If it's not in black and white, it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
And
Yep.
so what I'm hearing you guys say is the powers that be know this. They know it.
Yes.
They do. They know. They're
Yes,
taught well in
they
those
know
associations.
everything.
They know.
Yeah. It's
Now they
like
know that.
even with MDEQ, it's not just sewage. It's not just asbestos. If you have
That's right.
land and that's where you dump your garbage, if that's not certified with them, you're gonna get fined for that too.
That's
Your
right.
site, garbage site, has to be approved. If you're talking about, you're deliberately not updating your pipes and it's getting to the water, that is an
Yep.
MDEQ issue.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
so we're talking
And
about
they
all
don't
of these
care.
municipalities in the Delta that we Mississippi is getting money, but none of the money is being funneled into highly concentrated African American communities to fix its
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure
That's right.
because now a sense the white flight, they refuse to help us. That's the reason why the Delta vote blue, but the numbers still aren't high.
Mm.
All right.
And to piggyback off of what you just said, we had not Dale Holt, the commissioner guy from the state, secretary. What's his name? Secretary of State.
Oh, Mike Watson,
Not
the
him. Uh,
Shad White auditor.
Not Shad. It's the other one. He's out of Warren County. Um, Shucks. Well, anyways, he said just what you said. He said it's not enough votes to move anything because
Mm-hmm.
they're talking about the hospital. And he came up to Greenwood to speak. Man, his name escapes me right now. He was oh shucks. Delbert
He's a
Hoseman.
representative.
Who was in the
Delbert
position
is
before?
lieutenant.
He was lieutenant, but the person took Delbert's spot. I cannot think of his name.
I can't remember it either, not off the bat.
Well, anyways, he said there's not enough votes to move anything in the state of Mississippi. And also you got a lot of people leaving the Delta area, going to places like South Haven. They're fleeing to different places, man. And
then they lose the family property because nobody pays the taxes, and then the white folk gonna come back over here after a while when they own all of our property.
So are we talking gentrification?
Yeah. It's
because
Michael
of
Watson.
the poverty situation.
Michael Watson is the Secretary of State. Michael Watson is the Secretary of State.
It's the other one. It's another one higher up. He used to be
because of the poverty
insurance.
situation.
He's the insurance commissioner, I think.
I don't know who the insurance commissioner is.
Look him up. What? Y'all look him up.
I got you. I'm doing it now.
I can't think of his name. Well, anyways, he came to the Delta. He said it's not enough votes. I recorded him saying it. It's not enough people.
No, it's Angela. It's not enough people. Or here's the thing: there may be enough people, but poverty holds your mind when you feel like why would I vote when those that are in power? And I'm just not just talking about local and county, but those with the size of the state of Mississippi, with our population of 2.78 million people, there should not be one area in your state that lacks resources. Why is every area of this state is getting resources and being progressive except Central Mississippi and the Delta? Because that's the largest concentration of Black people. Guess who district that is? Benny Thompson's district. That's why he comes up out of there. But see, my issue is like, why is it? People are not going to vote. If I lived in the Delta over there, I probably would not want to vote either, because you're not doing anything for me. Why are you getting money and you're not helping? It is the state's job to make sure the money, and then it's the state's job to make sure that once the county and the municipalities get the money, that they do the right thing by it. But they're not looking at us. They don't care. They're saying those Negroes can go on and do whatever they want to do over there. We're not studying that.
But don't you know COVID is not gone, right? And people,
That's right.
People don't realize. I wanted JoJo to talk about the trauma, but you guys can speak to it all too well, because we have people who think they are okay. Because I spoke with a guy who was caught up in the tornado, and I said, hey, they have counseling where you can go and do talk therapy, and he told me they had already cut him a check. But see, our people don't understand that. And when you get that money, talk about what they need to do when they get that check, because it's temporary. Red Cross is not going to be there forever. You get that money, they're expecting you to go and find housing. They're expecting you to go and do the right thing. Invest in some insurance possibly now. Okay. Since you do have, but I don't even know if that is adequate amount of money, because I had a white person tell me from Rolling Fork now that they were forced pretty much to take out SBA loan for a home, okay, which still did not cover everything. And this is a homeowner, right? That still didn't have enough. Another homeowner, Black, said that, hey, let me tell you something. If a house in Rolling Fork is built at $1 million value, when they come to appraise that home, there's a cap a $250,000 cap, regardless of how much you put in to that home, and in that home, they cap you off in the bank. What I'm told now, I don't know how true this is. Okay, these are allegations. The bank only gives 85% of what's necessary to rebuild. Now, the problem with that is this, from what I'm told, the contractors want their money up front.
Not
So
in a disaster.
If not up front, they're gonna do it in half. So yeah, I've heard that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm
Half
telling
up
you,
front. Who's got that? Yeah.
these are the stories that I'm being told. And so why not think about tiny homes? What do you guys think of that? I mean, they can mount them down just like they would a trailer. I mean, come on. And I've seen a brother who I'm Facebook friends with out of the Jackson area build an additional part to the home that he this tiny home thing is a trending thing. So it could be a temporary fix. But get me out of the motel.
Temporary. It would have to be a temporary thing, because if not, they'll leave our folks like that for 90 years. So we can't allow that.
Yes.
So it
and
has
those
to be
homes
something
will be passed down to the children.
they need to, or they can go back and they can clean them up and put them out there for somebody's storage. It's okay. But in the meantime, people need permanent housing, and they've never addressed permanent housing over there. So we're going to have to come back to the table. We're going to have to document. Mississippi is not broke. Mississippi has high poverty. About half of Mississippi is considered poor and low wealth. About half.
Okay.
50%. And so, but we're strategically placed in these impoverished areas. And we know exactly that whole gatekeeping process is happening. One of the things that the congressman said, I think that was Mike Cheney that you're talking about. Is that right, Angela? Does Mike Cheney sound like
that's his name.
One of the things that the congressman has said, and I've seen this in action for sure, there were some things that came down the pipe for us, and our elected board members did not want it. And there are times when they didn't even request. There were things that only Holmes County and some county up in Alaska that was qualified for, and we didn't apply for one dime.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So when Cardell talked about having people who know their role and know how to do this work and sitting on these, but we can't elect people just because they pray a good prayer in church, or because that's my mama's cousin's second brother on Thursday. We can't do that. We need some qualified people, but our folk don't know who's qualified. And we do to start somewhere. Look at what happened with Katrina. Long time with Katrina. And we still have people who never made it back home. We still have, you know what I mean? And we still have people who are living below their means. I don't want to see that with Rolling Fork or for Holmes County or any place else. It's time out, y'all.
So Francine, what I'm hearing, so Francine, correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing you say is, if we start out with tiny homes, they're gonna be there permanently. Don't even entertain it.
Well, we can do it, but we got to have a plan for this is, for 180 days, and then have another plan, say this family and then that family be in there. That has to be mapped out. If not, we'll be there forever. We'll be there forever.
Man, Cardell.
Yes.
Can we get past this point? And I'm asking because when we are thrown something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
We say, okay, well, they're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
How are our people supposed to respond? Because if they're not putting it in black and white, like this resolution here or recovery thing, I'm a jigger. If the people who are complaining or saying that these are some strong allegations and that they have this and they have these issues, but you got mainstream media saying, oh, they're holding, Rolling Fork is strong. And how do you get heard? I know you say organize, but who's going to help organize when you have people who are emotional and are in despair? You can see it, and a lot of times if we're ignorant to a lot of things, we get angry. I'm thinking, right, because one person said, you're fixing on your house. You should hold up. You see that the people, and was said on the show, you fixing on your house, but you see we ain't got nowhere. Why you just can't hold up? But see, I'm telling you, this is what they're telling the Mike magazine now. You got your insurance money, and so I said, in all fairness, is it okay? Is it not? Is he not supposed to fix his home? But they're looking at everybody. They're putting everybody in the same pot and saying, listen, you fixing your house. And then one even says he's building up and out. How do we educate the people to the point to when they see something like this, they can call on maybe an attorney buddy who could do some pro bono paperwork for them, possibly, and get something. And Francine said, if that's not working for them, scratch that and redo it. How do they know if it's working for them?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so the plan. Oh, go. I'm sorry, Cordell. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, can we get past this point? We can. But the thing is, when you're talking about an entire community being devastated, so most of the emotions are warranted. So what you need is stability. So that stability comes from the people that's outside of that community coming in to help organize. But here's the thing, the people can't come in from the outside and organize if the people on the inside won't stand up with them. Now, this is the hypothetical situation in the event that your leadership is not there for you. So, but the role of the FDP is what we try to let you know, that you have the power in your hand. It just takes thinking, it takes strategy, it takes planning, it takes organizing, it takes getting to the polls and voting, holding people accountable. Because here's the thing, one thing about people in power, they do not want you to throw the law in their face. It takes education and knowledge so we can hold them accountable. That's how we able to know, like, bro, you can do this. Like, you can get these people land and set up homes on here for your citizens if you know what to do. But we can get there. But that's why I am, in the midst of this entire situation, I am very moved that press conference tomorrow is called by the citizens. Now, that does move me. And it's not just some activist organization or leader saying, let's do this. So I know that there is potential there. So if they can do that, I really believe that we'll move past this and go further. But here's also the thing, though. When you do that, you have to understand that we're going to get some backlash, even more backlash from your elected officials.
But why? Why would it be that way if these are your constituents who are concerned and displaced and going through possible trauma? Because not all of them went to a counselor, right? Not all of them had the mindset to say, okay, some of them probably did want to just lay in the bed when the Red Cross was knocking on their door saying, we got food for you. Some of them probably did not take advantage of, the free stuff, because working in sales for AT&T project in Jacksonville, and I worked in billing, they don't want your free stuff. They want solutions. You keep your free HBO. Why didn't I listen? And you still have to remain calm and resolve that thing, man. And then they'll call back and say, I didn't tell her to add that. I don't want it. People want you to give them some solutions. They have solutions too, but who's going to listen? Because if it's not articulated properly in an educated way, we've gotten degrees and things like that. You've been on the education board and blah, 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 blah. Who's going to listen? Who's going to listen?
Well, but the flyer says lack of transparency. So if there is a lack of transparency, that means that they're hiding something.
Okay.
Which means the reason why allegedly, if in fact they don't want to work with us or would try to withstand the community, is because they're hiding something. Meaning they're complicit in this. It's not that you are stealing money or you're doing this. It's your inaction. It's your unwillingness to do what you're supposed to do. It's your unwillingness to fight for your people. You think it's okay for you to continue to operate in your position just because you got your home and you want everybody like, y'all gonna deal with yourself. No, we're here for each other. I pay
Mm-hmm.
my taxes just like you pay your taxes. You
Mm-hmm.
got me. You became who you are because I had to vote, and the rest of us have to vote. That's the
But
problem.
won't the economy die out and dry out if
Yes.
they, to be honest with me?
So
Be honest.
so they're not looking at long term. A lot of these elected officials, because if they were, they would be preparing for it. So let me
Okay.
say this: plan that they're putting out there that's in black and white, we can use that for community's benefit. Right now, I think it's just fluff because they want people to shut up and go away, but we can use it. I think as organizers, we need to do some one-on-one conversations with those board members and
Mm-hmm.
really get a feel for who they are and have some serious dialogue with them. Then we can kind of size them up because they need to be heard too. Some of them may really want to do some right stuff and maybe they just don't know how. And some
Mm-hmm.
of them just don't give a flying fig. Let's be honest about that. But we have
Mm-hmm.
to know who they are. We have to do a stakeholders analysis, and we need
Wow.
to come back
Wow.
and then we talk to the folk inside the community as well. And we'll see who's on the Lord's side. You know,
Mm-hmm.
who's for real
Yeah.
about this thing. That
Mm-hmm.
plan that they put together, we look at the plan and we say it needs some teeth. How do we hold folk accountable to do these things? And how do we change it? Take what they have and make
Mm-hmm.
it what you want.
Oh
And then
wow.
it becomes a community, a collaboration between, because we got to have them. As long as they're on those boards, we got to have them. And if they don't want to do it right, we can make their lives so miserable that they'll resign, and that's fine. And you put
Mm-hmm.
somebody else in there. But the plan needs to have teeth, it needs to have benchmarks, and it needs to have a budget tied to it. And so
Mm-hmm.
those are some ways that organizers can help. That community feels like things are not transparent. What they're also saying, 4 months later, I feel hopeless. It's going to
Yes.
cold soon, y'all. And what are we going to do? So we need to be looking at this humanitarian stance, and we can push this all the way up to the federal level. This may even be a Department of Justice issue because you guys are denying them, equality in housing. What's going to happen to these kids? What's
Mm.
going to happen to the children?
School is getting ready to start. Cardell, before you go,
Exactly.
and we're gonna go after this because I know you guys did not come on here to stay and talk as long as I need you to talk. But I do want to talk about school, right? And there are people complaining about the superintendent of Sharkey County, right?
Oh,
And I don't know who
yeah.
the person is. And so the allegations are this: the superintendent has posted everybody's job for a couple of days and then snatched it down. I don't know. This is what I was told. Not only that, they do not have, according to some people talking to the Mike magazine, their own police department. You know how you have the resource officers for your campus? They're using the local agencies to come in and do everything that they need done. So I'm wondering, where's that money going? Who on the board said it's okay, and why is one not established? Not only that, we got the McKinney-Vento. Now, Francine, you probably know more about that. And so it was said that, well, they're going to bus the students to the county line and take them on to the district. And I said, now, with McKinney-Vento, you're supposed to go where you're at. Talk a little bit about McKinney-Vento, because now these are some strong allegations. Now, again, these are allegations. I just pray that when school starts back, there are teachers there, because I've heard that there are other teachers that have been reaching out saying, hey, they posted your job, but we got something for you over in our county. They posted your job. We got something for you over here with us. They posted your job. Everybody's job was posted but the superintendent. But go on, tell. And these are some strong allegations, and that's how we're going to deal with them. McKinney-Vento.
So I don't know if the superintendent is elected or appointed. Do you know? I'm trying to look it up now.
He's supposed to be
I don't know if that
appointed.
superintendent is appointed.
Most of them are appointed, voted on by the board, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know.
Right. So let me say this. Another part of this, and where federal dollars come in, these children who are on IDA, the special education program, which most of these kids should darn near be there now because they need some type of counseling. So all of them, I would say they need, at least for a little while, they need to be in the SPED section. And we don't look at that as, I mean, you can be a gifted child and receive special education services, okay? And so it's not about, you know, a child being unstable, but these kids got some issues and they're not going to get that any other way unless we bring that in for them. And then the law says a child who has who's under IDEA, which is the individual, I can't think of it as whatever. I can't,
behavioral assessment.
I can't think of it.
I don't know.
It's the Education Act. It's an act. It's a federal law. Okay. These kids are federally protected. So the district, that's additional resource that will come in, and it can also provide training and things like that for the parents. And so that's another area that we need to look at. So we would actually, as organizers, need to come in and look at how do we create this healthy community? How do we bring it back and make it whole? How do we do that?
Francine, you said something about a benchmark. Check this out. There's another allegation that the third grade testing was counted this year. Third grade tests were counted for the district. I don't know how true that is, but
they could have gotten a waiver for that area.
I pray. Listen, I'm told, a third grader to flunk since the tornado has happened.
I'm sure.
But how do you flunk? How do you flunk a baby that's traumatized?
Are you kidding me? We do it all the time.
But see, no, that is the problem, because these different entities are working individually instead of working together. If the superintendent of the school and the board members, if they have board members, will work with the county, work with the city, we can understand, like, there could be some type of, you know, whenever there's natural disasters, like when COVID first hit, they shut them down and all the kids was doing school.
Right.
Those kids did get graded, but they didn't get graded as if they were in the classroom because of the disaster. So you have to, you know, consider those variables when you do this. Like, no third grade child should be flunking when they've been displaced for the last 4 months. They don't even have a stable environment, not on the fault of the parent, but on the fault of the mother nature. It just happened. We can't control that. So you need to be more sympathetic, and that is the problem. There is a lack of empathy and compassion. It's not my child. I don't care. He needs to get his. No, that is a baby.
Come on.
You're responsible for that baby. He's not responsible for himself. And mental health is an issue.
Do you know how we determine when and where we need to build prisons? It's based on the third grade reading. So when you have kids who, that's what it is. And so who the heck cares if your little black babies can't read, or the little poor children ain't getting an education? Hey, it's beneficial because the prisons are now privatized. So, I mean, we're looking at, they got their plan down the road, y'all. We just need to get ours together, okay? And really, really deal with this and wake up the community. Somebody just shot me a message saying that's the individuals, what is it? Disability Education Act. That's the IDEA. Right. And so that's what we deal with. But the IDA, it works with children who are gifted as well. So you can have whatever resources we need. This is federal money. These kids become federally protected.
Come on.
And so we can do this for them.
But let me ask you
again, going back, looking at the whole thing and see how we can make this community whole again.
But let me ask you guys, doesn't that dollar follow that child with McKinney-Vento?
Yes, it follows the child.
Yeah, I've always known it follows the child wherever they go.
Listen, I'm gonna close this thing out. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and weighing in on it. And again, like a friend said, when you said we fighting poverty, not the poor.
Yes.
Now that was a great opening.
I will never forget that. And so what's happening is this is a blow to humanity. Doesn't matter what color you are.
That's right. That's right.
But we know who the disenfranchised are more so than not. Right?
That's right.
And if we're talking numbers and statistics, and we got little black babies that has flunked. Listen, these are some strong allegations, and I would love to see how many students failed in South Delta School District.
Okay, we can get that.
I want to know how many babies flunked after a tornado hit. Tell me.
I would love to know that.
Yep.
And I will fight
we can get that.
Y'all, those are some strong allegations. We're going to have to come back because, see, nobody is wanting to talk about the school district. But there's some other allegations coming up the road saying that the zoning, these some more allegations. The zoning is not being taken seriously because the school board wants to lease some property. I don't even know if that's possible. Is it possible to lease some land? Because from
It
what I'm
is.
Yeah,
told, it's
It is.
possible.
yeah. That
Yep.
school district owns a lot of 16th section land, a lot.
Listen,
And the issue with zoning, that's just a
yeah,
simple 15 minutes in the board meeting, and they can change, they can amend their zoning, they can do what they need to do.
ain't no
Yes.
way. Stop.
Yes. It just takes a decision and a vote. That's all
That's
it
it.
takes.
That's
It's
it.
just got to be a motion, a lawful motion passed with a second and a vote. And it doesn't have to be unanimous. It got to just be majority.
You guys are a wealth of
That's it.
knowledge. See, how do you put that in writing so you can get on the agenda to have your respective alder person say we want to change the zoning?
We can do that. We can
But
do that.
see, even
We
at
can
that,
do that.
under an emergency declaration,
Yeah.
those things are set in place. They're softened anyways, Angela.
Uh-huh.
It's like during
Oh wow.
when you declare an emergency, like you kind of can do what you want when it benefits the community, as long as it's
That's
uplifting
it.
the community.
The greater
Yeah,
good.
and then everything goes
That's
back
it.
to normal once once the emergency declaration is lifted. You may say we declared an emergency for 30 days. Then you revisit it again.
Let
Then
me
you
ask you
extend
this.
it.
And let me ask you this, since you said they can revisit it again. Now, does that
Yeah.
set the tone for people like Red Cross to say, okay, we're going to reevaluate and go back for 30 days? Is that possible?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
you
If they declare it.
yes.
Yes.
That's what the city
And
of Durant
MEMA.
did under
Don't forget
Dr. Henry
about MEMA.
Robinson's leadership. That's what we
Don't
did under his
forget
leadership
MEMA.
during
MEMA has
COVID.
more money than Red Cross. Don't forget about MEMA.
Talk about MEMA.
MEMA has more money than the Red Cross does, and it can do some things and put some things in
Yeah.
place for us, particularly around that long-term stuff. Absolutely.
Y'all blowing my mind.
Why should the money
Because when
always go
MEMA
down to
comes
the
in,
coast
MEMA
or
is a
somewhere
state
else?
organization.
Is
MEMA
that why?
is our local. MEMA is like FEMA for us. It's just
Yeah,
Mississippi.
But
yeah.
is
That's
that why,
federal dollars.
y'all, is that why it's imperative for the city and county to do it jointly, what you read earlier, Cardell?
Yes,
It would
an
help.
interlocal agreement, work together. Like they do not have to now. The city can do what they want to do. The county can do another thing. But if they would just understand, the law says the county and the city can come together and do this thing together.
But it's already been declared
It
an
should be more
emergency.
powerful.
But listen, people would say you guys are just talking in the wind because they've already been declared an emergency. You can't redeclare an emergency, or can you?
I mean, if it's if
I don't.
if if,
How
it,
did
if
they
it's
act on?
extended and there's no progress, you can redeclare it.
4 months. 4 months.
4 months. And see, the thing is,
Yeah,
when
they
did
need
they do
to.
it, and when did they? What was the deadline on it, or the end of it? It needs to be if they did
Mm-hmm.
according to what you posted. That is not a declaration. That's a resolution to appoint a recovery commission
That's
that
fluff.
would do this stuff. But that's not a declaration saying, "Hey,
That's
y'all,
fluff.
we had a natural disaster.
That
It's
is
declare an
fluff.
emergency." You can declare emergencies in your areas for
Look,
roads and
y'all.
bridges, ditches.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
That's,
Yeah, we declared an
that
emergency for one
paperwork is
street in
fluff.
Durant because the ditches were eroding.
Francine said that's paperwork and fluff.
Yeah, that paperwork was fluff. It had no. It's fluff. It's because they're feeling some pressure, so they want to say, "Well, we just passed this, and we just did." You did nothing. Who are the people in the community that had input in this? I didn't, from what I saw, and I know we only barely kind of glanced over. I didn't see any teeth in that. I didn't see anything to do with money in that. I mean, it was fluff. It was a generic piece of fluff.
But they were giving,
but we can use it.
They were given millions and millions of dollars, and so they'll say,
Okay.
well, what do you say to the ones that said, well, they gave us $1 million to clean up?
Okay.
We
Accountability.
They tell Good Morning America, we got a distribution center. It sounds like a bunch of public relations work, PR, image consultant work to me. And when I saw that clip tonight that I sent you guys, Cordell,
yes.
That sound like PR person.
Hey, I just have a question. I do have a question from that video.
Yeah.
That lady that posted it and that was in that video, is she poverty? Is she poor? Is she poor?
I don't even know who posted it.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was a white lady in there that was smiling like everything was hunky dory. And I just
Mhm.
want to know, like, is she feeling the sting of the issue like everybody else
Ooh,
while you out there giving out food and these
that
people are saying, we got EBT, we don't even need housing. You
yeah,
laughing, we ain't laughing.
yeah. And so that becomes the question. The person talking to the mainstream media, what role do you play? Are you from Madison County? Are you from South Haven? Are you volunteering on the weekend? Who are you? And who gave you permission to speak
There
to
it is.
the mainstream media and and
For
give them?
me.
Listen, somebody gave her permission to speak for the people.
Do you live in the community?
That's a good question.
And I'm not talking about because your mom and dad was affected and you live somewhere else. Do you live in the community?
Oh wow.
Right.
Because see, everybody
Right.
wants to get in the camera on, oh, Good Morning America is a national media outlet. Okay, but the story's
And
whitewashed. No, talk to some real folk on the ground. Yeah,
Hmm.
the only
that's
thing they
right.
were dealing with was this warehouse. You didn't talk
But
nothing about the education or
who
you ain't talk nothing about the other stuff that's going on with the housing. You're not
like
talking
what
about
we're
that.
talking about on this show?
That's
Or whether
right.
your elected officials doing right by money and these agencies that's trying to come in and help the people. You need to be trying to cover
Mhm.
that. And I love Miss Robin. I think that's her name. I love her.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
the story's not right because you got the wrong
That's
people
right.
that's in there for photo
The
ops. Oh, I
wrong
was
narrative.
don't
The
nobody
wrong
care.
narrative. Yeah,
Well,
they're controlling our narrative. That's never good.
Yeah.
well,
We need
you know,
to
I would like to be excited about the link that I saw, but I'm not
it's not. No, because it's
because
a lie.
I am Mississippi. I
All
Hello.
right.
am.
Yeah,
I am
it's in
Mississippi.
us. It's in the
And
blood.
listen, and I'm not just Mississippi. I'm Mississippi Delta.
All right.
I'm
Shut
left
Yeah.
your
behind.
mouth.
I'm left behind. My story is supposed to not be told. These people are not supposed to be listened to. You know, I let them go on and on and on and say it how they feel it. But we know that corporate media has a limit on what can be said, right? But if you are not getting down to the man on the street, is what we call it in journalism, you're not talking to nobody.
You're not talking.
You're
You're
not
not talking
talking to any.
realness. You're not talking realness.
That's a slap in the face to the people who've been waiting for months. They don't want
So
food and
that
clothes.
tells you they don't want the real narrative. They do their own. And this is, again, a problem for the community folk and us as organizers because we need to take control of the story. No, let people tell our story. We got to tell our own story. I appreciate this show tonight because we're able to tell our own story. We're
Absolutely.
able to talk about what's really happening. Because
Absolutely.
if you don't live here, you really don't understand
You don't
Mississippi. If you've not been
understand
to
it.
that,
Nope.
this
Hey,
is a
hey,
whole different planet.
I dare them to bring me on their show. They won't.
Okay.
They won't. I
No,
dare them
they're
to bring
not. You
Cardell.
know it.
I dare them to bring
No,
Cardell on the show.
And you
Hey,
know,
no.
Francine, I
Yeah.
double dog dare you, as they say.
I
Uh-huh.
don't sell
Uh,
out and I don't compromise what I believe.
You
That's
can't
in my
buy me.
faith and that's in my work. I
I,
don't.
I
You're not gonna buy me out when my people are being afflicted and oppressed and under the thumb of this
that's right.
system. No, no, no. Not as long as black people are dying. Not as long as the majority of our community is poor. You won't
mhm.
say you
That's
can give offer me what you want. My people gonna come up. You gonna let my people go. That's how I feel.
right.
And on that note,
Let's
Francine,
go.
anything else you want to say? Moses,
I will say fight poverty, not the poor.
come on.
And
Yes.
yeah,
I,
this is
I'll
a
Yes.
never,
human issue, humanity issue for us. Absolutely.
man.
Yep.
And I want to play this video one more time before we leave for those just tuning in so that it can stay in
Do
the
it. Do
top of
it.
their mind because you're not going to see this on Good Morning America.
Nope.
The video is out there and gone viral.
Mm,
Why have you
mm,
not
mm.
played that on your Good Morning America?
Okay. Okay.
Because you got to think about the name of it. It's Good Morning America. Hey, but we're talking
Everything's
Mississippi
beautiful.
No,
Right.
it's good evening down here. Good night or whatever. Ain't no
and good
good
evening.
morning. Isn't we in the
It's
dark?
have mercy. It's have mercy, Lord.
We're talking real
Yeah,
Mississippi issues.
Yes.
that's right.
Listen, let me play this video for those just tuning in.
Want to if you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you want to step in the lion's den let me roar. If you want to step in the lion's den, let me roar. You want to step in the lion's den? No, you stupid. So let me tell you, if you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you don't want to hear it, don't ask. If you want to step in the lion's den let me roar. If you want to step in the lion's den, let me roar. You want to step in the lion's den? No, you stupid. So let me tell you, if you don't want to,
I might need some insurance, but you know what? Was that the appropriate time to say it?
Yeah.
Was that the appropriate time? And the people are so concerned about this election because this woman is allegedly running for justice court judge. Okay, wow. And on that note, guys, we're gonna take it out and say thank you so much for tuning in. Angela Buckner here, the voice behind the mic, Delta Sip, where we sip slow and talk what we know. And now I gotta
all right.